What if the most unsettling footage was never meant to convince you, but to remind you how little control you understand? Across forests, roads, and frozen corridors, cameras have captured figures that should not exist. Upright, massive, deliberate, and disturbingly consistent. These are not fleeting shadows or distant blurs. They are recorded, analyzed, replayed, frame by frame, leaving scientists struggling to classify what they're seeing. Are these misidentified animals, elaborate fabrications, or something biology never prepared us for? And if these forms are not human, not ape, and not myth, why do they appear to recognize the camera? Tonight, we examine the footage that refuses easy answers and forces us to confront what might have been watching us all along. Caught on camera at 02:14 a.m., a trail cam deep in a conifer forest records a tall figure crossing a snowless slope. Filmed without sound, scanned frame by frame days later. The body enters from the left. The shoulders clear the saplings. The arms swing below the waist. Estimated height exceeds 2 meters, with a shoulder span wider than Homo sapiens and limb ratios inconsistent with great apes. As the torso leans forward, weight shifting through the midfoot while the knees remain flexed, suggesting a bipedal gait optimized for silence rather than speed. The chest appears barrel-shaped, the neck short, the head forward set, while dense hair reflects infrared unevenly, showing wear and dirt patterns not matching costumes, leaving scientists shocked because no known primate displays this combination of mass distribution and joint articulation. No one believed similar Bigfoot footage before it was filmed, yet the cryptid silhouette remains terrifying. What evolutionary model allows a form that moves like memory rather than muscle? Caught on camera at night, a handheld recording captures a tall form between pale trunks, filmed through digital zoom, scanned after enhancement artifacts were removed. The figure pauses, the head tilts, the forest stays silent. Estimated mass exceeds that of a human of equal height, yet the posture remains balanced, with shoulders rolled forward, spine slightly curved, and arms hanging with relaxed tension, suggesting energy conservation rather than aggression. The neck appears embedded, the chest thick, and the head shape lacks a visible jawline, while the hair absorbs light unevenly, producing voids that shock scientists because no known mammal presents this infrared profile. No one believed such Bigfoot footage when it was first filmed, labeling it terrifying illusion, yet repeated scans reveal consistent proportions across frames. The cryptid does not flee, it observes. What cognitive model explains a presence that behaves as if it understands being watched? Caught on camera during nocturnal roadwork at 11:37 a.m., industrial floodlights illuminate a forest slope where a large biped emerges, filmed amid engine noise and mechanical vibration. The light flares, the ground shifts, the figure advances. Estimated height approaches 2.5 meters, shoulders rounded forward, arms lifted reflexively as weight transfers downhill through flexed knees, indicating balance correction rather than threat response. The chest appears thick and compressed, the neck barely visible, while limb motion remains fluid despite uneven terrain, shocking scientists because coordination persists under sensory overload. Hair coverage reflects artificial light in broken gradients, revealing density inconsistent with costume fiber, while the feet plant flat with minimal heel strike, diverging from Homo sapiens and known apes. No one believed Bigfoot footage filmed near machinery could remain stable, yet scans show consistent joint behavior across frames. The cryptid does not retreat from noise, it recalibrates. What nervous system tolerates mechanical intrusion without triggering flight? Caught on camera in broad daylight near a grass clearing, a distant biped crosses laterally, filmed handheld with limited resolution, later scanned to extract gait metrics. The stride is long, the torso leans, the arms counterbalance. Proportions suggest a height exceeding 2 meters, with femur length dominating stride mechanics, while shoulders remain elevated and head forward, inconsistent with Homo sapiens posture. The gait shows minimal vertical bounce, terrifying scientists who were shocked because energy loss appears reduced beyond known human or ape locomotion models. Hair mass appears uniform, absorbing sunlight rather than reflecting, with no visible seam or fabric distortion during movement. No one believed Bigfoot footage filmed in daylight could avoid visual breakdown, yet repeated scans confirm anatomical continuity frame to frame. The cryptid neither accelerates nor hides. It maintains course. What selective pressure favors exposure over concealment in an organism presumed extinct? Caught on camera at dusk inside dense woodland. A still-enhanced sequence shows a massive figure mid-stride, filmed close enough to examine surface texture. The foot lifts, the spine curves, the air steams. Body mass distribution favors the lower trunk, with wide hips and a shortened lumbar region, while arms hang low with relaxed joints, suggesting load-bearing adaptation. The hair appears coarse, matted, and directionally layered, reflecting moisture and debris, shocking scientists because such surface wear implies long-term environmental exposure. The head lacks visible neck separation, and the chest expands laterally rather than vertically, diverging from Homo sapiens and great ape anatomy. No one believed Bigfoot footage this clear could exist without manipulation, yet scans reveal consistent shadow behavior. The cryptid moves without haste. It belongs. What lineage leaves traces yet refuses classification? Caught on camera by a fixed night recorder marked Reese 010616, a tall biped advances into a clearing, filmed under artificial illumination and later scanned for temporal consistency. The body enters frame. The shoulders rise, the arms hang heavy. Estimated height exceeds 2 meters, with mass concentrated through the upper torso, shoulders sloped forward, and arms swinging with delayed inertia, inconsistent with human muscle timing. The gait remains slow and deliberate, terrifying scientists who were shocked by the absence of startle response despite direct exposure to light and equipment. Hair absorbs illumination unevenly, producing dead zones where no texture resolves, while foot placement appears flat and measured, diverging from Homo sapiens' heel-toe mechanics. No one believed Bigfoot footage filmed this close could maintain proportion without distortion, yet repeated scans show stable limb ratios. The cryptid does not rush, it does not react. What neurological threshold allows approach without fear or curiosity? Caught on camera under extreme spectral enhancement, a humanoid form appears luminous, filmed at night and scanned after color channels were isolated. The outline sharpens, the eyes fix forward, the body advances. Proportions remain consistent with a large biped, yet the apparent glow originates from reflective imbalance rather than emission, shocking scientists because surface response defies known biological materials. Arms hang low with minimal elbow flexion, shoulders remain elevated, and the head sits forward without visible neck articulation. The gait is steady, terrifying in its symmetry, with no vertical oscillation or lateral sway expected in Homo sapiens or great apes. No one believed Bigfoot footage rendered this way could represent physical form rather than artifact, yet scans reveal depth layering across frames. The cryptid does not flicker, it persists. What structure reflects light as absence rather than surface? Caught on camera within a narrow snow corridor, a crouched biped moves forward on all fours, filmed in extreme cold and later scanned for motion continuity. The hands contact snow, the spine lowers, the head remains stable. Body mass appears concentrated centrally, with limbs acting as stabilizers rather than primary drivers, shocking scientists because the movement blends quadrupedal support with bipedal structure. The shoulders rotate independently, knees flex deeply, and the head maintains forward orientation, inconsistent with Homo sapiens or known apes. Hair clumps show frost accumulation and compression patterns, indicating prolonged exposure rather than stage contact. No one believed Bigfoot footage showing such locomotion could exist without manipulation, yet scans reveal uninterrupted joint sequencing. The cryptid adapts, it persists. What evolutionary pathway permits regression without loss? Standing among pines caught on camera in late afternoon forest light, a tall biped stands upright between pine trunks, filmed at medium distance and later scanned for posture stability. The figure pauses. The arms hang loose. The weight settles. Estimated height exceeds 2 meters, with a broad shoulder span and a long vertical torso, while the knees remain slightly flexed, indicating continuous balance adjustment rather than rest. The head sits forward without a defined neck break, and the chest expands laterally, shocking scientists because this load-bearing posture differs from Homo sapiens standing mechanics. Hair coverage appears dense and uniform, absorbing warm sunlight rather than reflecting, with no visible fabric deformation during micro-movements. No one believed Bigfoot footage could show prolonged stationary stance without sway, yet scans reveal minimal oscillation. The cryptid does not scan the environment. It waits. What internal cue determines stillness in a form evolved for concealment? Caught on camera along a Powerline corridor in overcast daylight, 2 dark forms move away from the lens, filmed at long distance and scanned for spatial consistency. The spacing holds. The pace matches. The silhouettes persist. Relative height suggests large bipeds with synchronized stride length and identical arm swing timing, shocking scientists because coordinated locomotion at this range reduces misidentification probability. The path shows no lateral deviation, and the bodies remain centered along the corridor axis, inconsistent with human hiking behavior. Hair mass appears to disrupt outline clarity, producing irregular borders rather than smooth contours. No one believed Bigfoot footage could present paired movement without interaction cues, yet scans confirm parallel motion across frames. The cryptids do not diverge. They recede together. What social structure allows proximity without visible communication? Caught on camera via close-range trail capture, in subarctic woodland, an extreme facial view appears briefly, filmed under low light and scanned for morphological integrity. The mouth opens, the teeth show, the eyes fix. Dentition appears irregular, with worn incisors and uneven canines, shocking scientists because the bite pattern does not align with Homo sapiens or known great apes. The muzzle projects forward, facial hair thick and matted, while the jaw opens without visible strain, suggesting powerful but controlled musculature. Skin beneath hair shows no artificial seams, and moisture reflects unevenly across the snout. No one believed Bigfoot footage could reveal facial anatomy this clearly without fabrication, yet scans confirm depth and texture consistency. The cryptid does not vocalize, it displays. What communicative function exists in exposure without sound? Caught on camera in open meadow daylight, a distant upright figure stands at the forest edge, filmed across tall grass and later scanned for scale calibration. The grass bends. The outline holds. The tree line closes behind. Relative height suggests a large biped exceeding 2 meters, with a narrow waist and broad upper mass, while the posture remains vertical with minimal arm swing, inconsistent with relaxed human walking. The figure's silhouette remains stable despite wind movement and vegetation, shocking scientists because background motion does not distort body boundaries. Hair mass absorbs light unevenly, creating a soft-edged contour rather than sharp clothing lines. No one believed Bigfoot footage could present this level of spatial separation without zoom manipulation, yet scans confirm fixed perspective ratios. The cryptid neither advances nor retreats. It marks a boundary. What ecological threshold determines where presence ends and concealment begins? Caught on camera by an infrared trail system at 13:12:57 a.m., a massive biped appears beside a fallen deer, filmed at close range and scanned for interaction cues. The eyes reflect. The body looms. The animal remains still. Estimated mass exceeds that of a human of similar height, with shoulders rounded forward and arms lowered near the carcass, while the stance remains balanced and controlled. The proximity to prey shocks scientists because no aggressive motion is observed, contradicting predator response models. Hair texture reflects IR light in coarse bands, and the feet plant flat on the road surface without visible slip. No one believed Bigfoot footage could show nonviolent dominance without pursuit, yet scans confirm no abrupt limb acceleration. The cryptid does not feed, it observes possession. What behavioral logic asserts control without consumption? Caught on camera at night near shallow water, a large biped grips a struggling fish, filmed handheld and later scanned for limb coordination. The arms close, the water splashes, the grip tightens. Upper limb strength appears extreme, yet finger placement shows precision rather than brute force, shocking scientists because fine motor control persists under load. The posture remains upright despite unstable footing, knees flexed to absorb movement, while the head angles downward in focused alignment. Hair along the arms appears wet and clumped, reflecting light irregularly, indicating direct contact with water. No one believed Bigfoot footage could show aquatic interaction without loss of balance, yet scans reveal continuous center of mass control. The cryptid does not panic, it adapts. What evolutionary pressure favors dexterity in an environment assumed terrestrial? Caught on camera at night beneath a full moon, a large upright figure tilts its head back, filmed at close range and later scanned for cranial and thoracic movement. The jaw opens, the throat expands, the chest rises. Estimated body mass exceeds human norms, with a thick neck base and a widened rib cage, while the head angles upward without visible cervical strain. The mouth opening reveals irregular dentition and a deep oral cavity, shocking scientists because the vocal posture suggests resonance beyond human capacity. Hair along the neck and shoulders lifts slightly, indicating air displacement rather than simple motion. No one believed Bigfoot footage could capture a vocal display without motion blur, yet scans confirm frame stability. The cryptid does not advance, it announces. What communicative range requires sound over concealment? Caught on camera in degraded monochrome footage, a close facial view emerges briefly, filmed under low resolution and later scanned to reconstruct features. The eyes reflect. The mouth opens slightly. The face fills frame. Facial proportions appear wider than human, with a flattened nasal bridge and heavy brow ridges, while the jawline remains partially hidden by dense hair. The expression shocks scientists because muscle tension suggests controlled display rather than aggression. Skin texture beneath the hair appears uneven, absorbing light irregularly instead of reflecting smoothly. No one believed Bigfoot footage this degraded could preserve anatomical cues, yet scans reveal consistent symmetry across frames. The cryptid does not lunge, it reveals itself. What cognitive intent governs partial exposure without approach? Caught on camera in daylight before a gathered crowd, a large biped faces two brown bears, filmed openly and later scanned for comparative morphology. The figures rise, the arms lift, the stance widens. The biped's height and shoulder width approximate the bears when upright, yet limb proportions remain distinct, with longer forearms and a straighter spine. The interaction shocks scientists because postural mimicry occurs without contact, suggesting behavioral overlap rather than threat escalation. Hair texture differs from bear fur, appearing longer and less uniform under light. No one believed Bigfoot footage could include interspecies standoff without retreat, yet scans show no sudden motion spikes. The cryptid holds position, it mirrors. What adaptive advantage lies in resemblance without engagement? Caught on camera in filtered daylight beneath dense branches, a dark biped perches above ground, filmed partially obscured and later scanned for limb orientation. The body crouches, the arm braces, the head turns. Joint angles indicate controlled elevation rather than climbing motion, with hips flexed and shoulders bearing load. The posture shocks scientists because balance is maintained without visible gripping structures or tail support. Hair along the back compresses against bark, showing directional flattening consistent with contact. The figure remains silent and still despite nearby movement. No one believed Bigfoot footage could suggest arboreal behavior without primate morphology, yet scans confirm joint alignment consistency. The cryptid does not descend, it observes from above. What adaptive pathway favors height without permanent arboreal traits? Caught on camera in extreme alpine conditions, climbers record a towering pale figure advancing downslope, filmed amid snow and wind, and later scanned for environmental interaction. The steps compress snow, the arms hang low, the torso advances steadily. Estimated height exceeds 2.5 meters, with broad shoulders and elongated limbs, while gait remains stable on steep incline. The scene shocks scientists because locomotion persists without visible cold adaptation gear or slippage. Hair appears thick and light-toned, dispersing snow accumulation rather than collecting it. The figure maintains direction toward the climbers without acceleration. No one believed Bigfoot footage could place such a form at altitude, yet scans reveal consistent ground reaction patterns. The cryptid does not charge. It closes distance slowly. What physiological tolerance permits movement where oxygen and heat are scarce? Caught on camera through a stabilized recording interface at 0:00:11:30, a large biped stands directly before the lens, filmed at close range and later scanned for proportional distortion. The frame centers, the subject advances, the image holds. Estimated height exceeds 2 meters, with extreme upper body mass and pronounced pectoral volume, while the arms hang low with relaxed elbows, suggesting confidence rather than aggression. The head remains level, eyes fixed forward, shocking scientists because gaze stability persists despite proximity to recording equipment. Hair density appears high across chest and shoulders, with uneven texture absorbing light instead of reflecting it. No one believed Bigfoot footage could withstand frontal capture without motion collapse, yet scans reveal consistent depth mapping. The cryptid does not flinch. It permits observation. What cognitive threshold allows tolerance of direct surveillance? Caught on camera during a controlled nighttime encounter in snow-covered forest, a human kneels beside a seated biped, filmed under low light and scanned for interaction anomalies. The body remains seated. The hands accept contact. The posture does not change. Mass distribution suggests extreme density through the torso, while shoulders remain relaxed and head angled slightly downward. The lack of defensive response shocks scientists because proximity and touch typically trigger flight or aggression in known mammals. Hair appears coated with snow, compressing under gravity rather than shaking free, indicating thermal tolerance. No one believed Bigfoot footage could document physical contact without escalation, yet scans reveal no stress markers in posture. The cryptid neither resists nor reciprocates. It endures. What behavioral framework allows contact without reaction? Caught on camera from a concealed vantage point within dense foliage, a large face emerges partially from shadow, filmed with manual focus and later scanned for ocular symmetry. The eyes appear, the brow tightens, the leaves remain still. Facial structure shows heavy supraorbital ridges, deep-set eyes, and a forward-projecting brow, while skin texture absorbs light unevenly. The gaze shocks scientists because fixation persists without blinking, suggesting sustained attention rather than surprise. Hair around the face appears damp and matted, blending with surrounding vegetation. No one believed Bigfoot footage could capture predatory stillness without motion, yet scans confirm micro-adjustments in eye alignment only. The cryptid does not advance, it studies. What perceptual system favors observation over engagement? Caught on camera during a foggy morning drive, a large biped stands beside a stopped vehicle on a forest road, filmed handheld and later scanned for scale reference. The car idles, the figure leans, the road narrows. Estimated height exceeds 2 meters, with mass concentrated forward, shoulders rounded and arms hanging low, while knees remain flexed to stabilize on wet asphalt. The posture shocks scientists because proximity to human machinery triggers no avoidance behavior. Hair appears saturated with moisture, clumping under gravity and reflecting dull highlights rather than shine. The feet contact the road flatly, showing careful weight placement inconsistent with hurried movement. No one believed Bigfoot footage could document roadside interaction without flight, yet scans confirm consistent limb proportions. The cryptid does not signal. it inspects. What cognitive boundary permits approach without escalation? And caught on camera at night under direct flashlight exposure, a large face fills the frame, filmed at arm's length and later scanned for facial symmetry. The light holds, the eyes remain fixed. The subject does not retreat. Facial proportions exceed human width, with dense brow ridges and a shortened nasal bridge, while the mouth stays closed and relaxed. The stillness shocks scientists because proximity and glare fail to trigger defensive reflexes. Hair around the face diffuses light, producing soft halos rather than sharp edges. Skin beneath appears uneven, absorbing illumination irregularly. No one believed Bigfoot footage could sustain eye contact this close without motion blur. Yet scans reveal micro-stability in head position. The cryptid neither threatens nor hides. It tolerates exposure. What perceptual threshold allows endurance of invasive light? Caught on camera in a snow-covered forest corridor, a pale biped walks away from the lens, filmed by a fixed system and later scanned for gait consistency. The steps imprint. The arms swing minimally. The path remains straight. Estimated height exceeds 2 meters, with a broad back and reduced torso rotation, suggesting energy-efficient locomotion. The scene shocks scientists because foot placement remains stable, despite snow depth and uneven terrain. Hair appears light-toned, dispersing snow rather than collecting it, indicating thermal insulation. No one believed Bigfoot footage could capture such clean retreat without tracking artifacts, yet scans confirm uninterrupted stride sequencing. The cryptid does not look back. It departs deliberately. What internal signal determines withdrawal without urgency? Caught on camera through unstable handheld footage, a dark mass shifts with entangled vegetation, filmed at very close range and later scanned to recover depth cues. The frame shakes, the shape turns, the space compresses. Estimated size exceeds that of a human torso, with rounded mass and coarse surface texture, while movement remains slow and controlled rather than reactive. The orientation shocks scientists because the form pivots without visible limb articulation, suggesting body segments obscured by foliage rather than absent. Hair appears thick and directionally layered, absorbing light and eliminating clear edges. No one believed Bigfoot footage this chaotic could retain anatomical information, yet scans reveal consistent curvature across frames. The cryptid does not emerge, it withdraws inward. What spatial awareness allows retreat without exposure? Caught on camera in a frozen woodland at dawn, a human figure approaches a large prone body, partially covered in snow, filmed steadily and later scanned for positional context. The figure stops. The body remains still. The forest holds silence. Estimated size exceeds human proportions, with elongated limbs and a wide torso pressed into the snow, suggesting significant mass. The posture shocks scientists because no signs of collapse, struggle, or trauma are visible, contradicting expected mortality patterns. Hair appears frozen and compacted, integrating with surrounding snow rather than resting atop it. No one believed Bigfoot footage could imply vulnerability without decomposition markers, yet scans show environmental consistency. The cryptid does not react, it does not move. What biological state allows stillness without decay? Caught on camera at high altitude along a narrow snow ridge, a dark, upright figure advances toward distant climbers, filmed in extreme conditions and later scanned for slope interaction. The ridge narrows. The figure advances. The wind obscures sound. Estimated height exceeds 2 meters, with balanced stride and arms held low, maintaining stability despite steep drop-offs. The movement shocks scientists because no protective equipment or hesitation is observed under hypoxic conditions. Hair appears wind-resistant, flattening rather than lifting, indicating dense structure. No one believed Bigfoot footage could place a large biped on exposed ridgelines without missteps, yet scans show consistent foot placement. The cryptid does not accelerate. It closes distance calmly. What physiological adaptation permits movement where survival margins collapse? Roadway confrontation, caught on camera from a stopped vehicle. Two large upright figures engaged mid-road, filmed openly and later scanned for inner-body dynamics. The bodies close, the arms lock, the stance widens. Relative height and mass exceed human norms, with one lighter-toned and one darker-toned form maintaining balance through bent knees and lowered centers of gravity. The encounter shocks scientists because movement resembles controlled grappling rather than chaotic conflict. Hair on both forms compresses and rebounds, indicating flexible mass rather than rigid costume material. No one believed Bigfoot footage could depict bilateral engagement without collapse of form, yet scans show consistent limb tracking. The cryptids disengage, they separate. What social protocol governs contact without escalation? The footage ends, but the pattern does not. Different places, different years, different cameras. Yet the movements repeat, the posture returns. The silence remains unchanged. If these were mistakes, they would collapse under scrutiny. If they were hoaxes, they would contradict each other. But instead, they align, quietly, patiently, across time. So the question is no longer whether something was caught on camera. The question is why it keeps appearing when we least expect it, and why it always leaves before we understand. This video is not a conclusion, it's a doorway. Because the next clip does not explain the last one, it deepens it. If you're ready to keep following the footage others dismiss, to explore what hides between frames, shadows, and unanswered data, subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered. The next video is already waiting.